Hello there, Shortcuts. This is video 2 for the price list, which will go out on Wednesday, May 15th, 9 p.m. sharp Sydney time. This is the funk, jazz, soul, and blues list. If you see something, if you're not in my club and you see this video and you're interested in receiving the price list, drop me an email at shortcutsrecordsaus@gmail.com. All right, quite a few to get through, so I'm going to crack into it. Lots and lots of new and interesting things. How about this? The Japanese first press of the Barkays, Too Hot to Stop. Look at that sleeve. Amazing. Now, the Barkays they went for years. I don't know, there's probably still a Barkays floating around out there now. But this is their era when they moved to Mercury Records. And I'm just going to show you the classic Mercury label. When they really went full-on funk. Even just this track list. Too Hot to Stop, Cozy, Bang Bang, Stick 'Em Up, Shake Your Rump to the Funk, which really is a blinding tune. And the final track on this record is called White House Orgy. And it's all, blended together, as you can see. It is as wild as it sounds. There's not much of this record on Spotify for you to go and explore. You can find Too Hot to Stop Part 1, which is the opening track. And I think there's some stuff around Shake Your Rump to the Funk. If either of those tracks make you smile, this record's for you. You will love it. Just fun, silly, fun, great funk. Now that we've dealt with all of that testosterone, I've got some of the fairer sex to talk to you about. I mean, 3 records that you might not know that I think are really interesting. Now, Lynn Collins, check me out if you don't know me by now. There she is on the back sleeve. This was her second record. Her first record, which if I remember is called Think About It, has a very different looking Lynn Collins. She's in kind of reposed, more side view, kind of curved hair, but looks very much like a soul diva. And the record kind of delivers on that front. She looks a bit more sophisticated, eh? And that is reflected into the music. Even though, as you can see here, I'll make sure I'm looking at the right thing, produced by James Brown. There. So Lynn Collins was one of a number of James Brown proteges in the 70s. I would say of the female kind of cohort, I think the most talented. I love this bit here, Lynn Collins, the female preacher. Really, a lot more kind of horns and strings on this one than on her debut, but really kicks it with James Brown on vocals, with Rock Me Again and Again and Again and Again and Again and Again. That is the actual title. It is as good as it sounds. Some cover versions, covers of A Foggy Day, covers of Mr. Big Stuff, the classic by Jean Knight. If you like your 70s funk and soul, this record will go down a trait. It's really nice. Lynn Collins. Check me out if you don't know me by now. All right. I'm still dealing with the testosterone high of the Barquez. I've got a couple of female vocal jazz records here that I think are really nice. Both 50s records. One more famous than the other. This is the more famous one. The Misty Miss Christie. Japanese press. I think it's the first press. Mid-50s. As a jazz singer, June Christie is somewhat of a paradox, for she has a scrubbed young girl look instead of the smouldering torch quality that characterizes a great many jazz singers. And that is true. Her blonde good looks, blue-eyed in this particular photo, kind of subvert what you actually hear. She's an incredible singer. Now, allmusic.com, which is a website I really rate, suggests that this is the greatest vocal jazz album of the 50s, which is a hell of a call. Very, very interesting record. But I think I like this one even more. Thelma Grayson. Now, as it turns out, her only record, the only record she made. Again, look at those contrasting sleeves. I just think that's pretty cool. This record, Thelma Grayson, is again kind of vocal standards. The opening track, I'll Remember April. If you're into this type of music, you will just lean in. And yeah, bit of a surprise and delight feature for me. Kind of like when I discovered Blossom Dearie for the first time. But unlike Blossom Dearie, there isn't a discography to go and explore because it was a one and done. This was also a Mercury record. But what a beautiful sleeve as well. So there you go. The Misty Miss Christie and Thelma Grayson. All right. We'll move back to the blokes for now. You all know Van Morrison. So, Belfast boy, grew up in Side of the Docks and became undoubtedly, and it's not even close, in a stratosphere of his own, Ireland's greatest soul singer. Delivered a slew of classic records in the early to mid-70s. Vide on Fleece being my personal favourite, but of course there are those who are devoted to Moondance, or, gosh, I'm blanking on his most famous, it'll come to me in a second. St. Dominic's Preview, all sorts of amazing records. He then stole the show on the band, The Last Waltz, with Caravan and Radio. I mean, what an amazing performance in his jumpsuit. It's spectacular. He came in and owned it. Well, in the late 70s, he kind of delivered a few so-so records and then returned with this record. Van Morrison Into the Music is the Japanese first press of this record. The opening two tracks, Bright Side of the Road, Full Force Gale, in his top 7 or 8 singles, surely, both of those. And that should give you a good sense of what he did with this record, because it's a very clean, soulful production, acoustic guitar driven, but with a predominant electric violin. So you have Van Morrison on lead vocals, rhythm guitar, and harmonica. His harmonica playing is really underrated. He sounds amazing. But it's this second guy, Tony Marcus, violin, viola, Straviola, I don't even know what that is, and mandolin. And what you get with this is this really soulful, cutting kind of just a lovely record. And interestingly, Stephen Irwine from AllMusic.com also suggests that this is one of Van Morrison's greatest records. It's in Australia, you see it around, and it is in this despicable sleeve. It is like as thin as paper, and the vinyl is horrible. I've been looking out for a second copy of this for a couple of years. Found it now. Someone is in for a treat. Top drawer Van Morrison, that is. But it's not my favorite record in tonight's list. I think this one is. I'm gonna go right into it. Soul is Pretty Purdy on the Flying Dutchman label for Funk Jazz Originals. Now, Bernard Pretty Purdy has probably locked down for good the title of the greatest funk and soul drummer of all time. This guy played with everyone. Aretha Franklin, live at Fillmore West. One of the great live albums. Bernard Purdy is the drummer. Similarly, of course, with King Curtis, live at Fillmore West. It's recorded on the same night. Bowie's snoring, so he's not interested in Bernard Purdy. Shaft played with Isaac Hayes. Rolling Stones. He played the Steely Dan. He has a drum style named after him. He's a legend. And he, I think it's about 75 or 76, went to Flying Dutchman and recorded a solo record. I'm actually going to take this out of the sleeve because it's pretty spectacular. Only his, he made other solo records. Soul Foods, Pretty Good is actually pretty good. Forgive the pun, but none of them are as good as this one. Soul is Pretty Purdy. Look at that. Absolutely spectacular. Norman Pride on bongos, Ralph McDonald on conga, Cornell Dupree, of course, one of his mates, plays guitar with him so many places. Just a rundown of some of the greatest musicians of the 70s. The opening track is a medley of Marvin Gaye's What's Going On and Bill Withers' Ain't No Sunshine. And because Bernard Purdy it's his band and he's the drummer, the grooves are front and center. Not unusual for drummers to be the lead in jazz. So, Art Blakey, Tony Williams, others. Max Roach, there's a bunch of them. But in soul, it's less the case, of course, because it's more likely to be the vocalist or, the saxophonist or whatever. But what you get with this is the drummer. Opening song of side 2, Song for Aretha, is special. It's wonderful. Good Lovin', Good Livin', Good Lovin' features a wah-wah guitar kind of section, which is worth the point of entry, worth the price of entry alone. Love this record. Soul is Pretty Purdy by Bernard Purdy, one of the greatest drummers that's ever lived. And this is an absolutely fantastic copy, complete with OB. Yeah, brilliant. All right, maybe time to kind of flick through a little bit of jazz, and then we get some blues to come. So this is an interesting one. I sent a note to the folks in Shibuya saying, I keep getting asked for Japanese jazz, and it's not my area of expertise by any means. Put something in the box, and this is what they put in. Another Departure by Takahiro Honda. So there's the group. I cannot find any information about this. The Flying Disc label was a Japanese label. It looks like it was active for a few years, 76 to 78, what I can tell from Discogs. But I played side one earlier today. And what you have is pure piano jazz. Think McCoy Tyner. Super melodic. If someone had said to me, I'm about to play you a lost Blue Note classic, close your eyes and tell me what you think, I'd have gone, yeah, this sounds about right. It's really pure, beautiful piano jazz, and it's got a whole bunch of really interesting inserts, things. I don't know where. Go and find yourself all of that lot if you can. You can see, actually, we mentioned McCoy Tyner and Bill Evans and others. So you can hear the lineage. And I must admit, I only listened to side one. But there you go. What a beautiful thing. Thank you, Takahiro and the blokes from Shibuya. What an interesting record to put in the box. And talking about piano jazz, what about this? The Sonny Clark Trio. You can see the BLP 1597, so that's the BLP 1500 series. Beautiful copy, pristine. Sonny Clark with Paul Chambers and Philly Joe Jones. Quite aggressive bop, full on. Quite different. I played it after playing Takahiro Honda, which was super mellow and melodic. This thing wakes you up and gets you bopping. It's chunky, it's rhythmic, it's propulsive. I think it's the year before he did Cool Struttin', which is iconic. This record doesn't seem to have that kind of kudos, but very, very, very interesting. And there's a certain person out there, you know who you are, that put this record on my radar. So there you go. All right, we got a couple of blues and then a few to finish. Otis Rush, Morning in the Morning, a white label promo. This record was panned when it was first released in 1969. Famously left-handed Chicago guitarist. It was just too much. You can see there's a little bit of kind of age discoloration on the inside, but the gatefold's pretty nice. These Atlantic white label promos are really, really, really hard to find. And this is a super, super copy. But over the years, this record has had somewhat of a rehabilitation. And whilst there are a few tracks that are, still maybe not the best that Otis ever did, there are quite a few that are pretty incendiary and are really worth your time. Beautiful, beautiful copy. Now, I am well aware that a lot of you last week were looking for Howling Wolf's Backdoor Wolf, his final recording. Well, I dug this one up for you all, so maybe some of you might be lucky and grab this. This is the Blues Essentials, a UK release of his classic early material, which really is what made his name. Killing Floor, Smokestack Lightning, I Believe I'll Dust My Broom, Little Red Rooster, Howling for My Baby. If you need a compilation of everything that made Howlin' Wolf the legend that he became, then this is for you. And it's a really, really nice sleeve as well. Talking about white label promos, oh man, I do love a white label promo. This is an interesting one. Rolling Down the Mountainside by the mighty Main Ingredient. Obviously, there's the three dudes. This is soul, kind of more, not so much R&B, definitely pure soul, almost a little bit of doo-wop as well. Really considered and mellow vocal talents, of course, harmonies. So this is first time I've ever seen these guys appear on the list. The Main Ingredient. All right, we've got a couple of jazz records to go and then we're done. So for the first time ever, Joe Pass, the legendary guitarist, first time appeared on a Shortcuts list. This is Intercontinental, which again gets stellar reviews and has been noted by the folks in Shibuya as being superior sound quality. It's on the MPS label that I don't know. So yeah, a really, as I said, lots of new things on the list this week. Intercontinental by Joe Pass. But finally, something that is Shortcuts royalty. I love this record, love this pressing. This is as good as you're going to get. It's still in the shrink. It's in magnificent condition. This is Something Else by Julian Cannonball Adderley with Miles Davis, Hank Jones, Sam Jones, and the mighty Art Blakey, the BLP 1500 series. Absolutely pristine copy. One of the greatest albums of all time, if not the greatest jazz album of all time. Clear Shortcuts royalty. If you don't have this, man, you're in for a treat. So there you have it. What a list. Good luck unpicking that lot. If you would like to see the price list, 9 p.m. Wednesday, Sydney time. Drop me an email, shortcutsrecordsaus@gmail.com. Please like, subscribe, leave me a comment. Let me know you're there. That makes it so much more interesting. And thanks again for watching. All right. I'll actually be in Bangkok when the list goes out on Wednesday. I'll have it on a timer. So if it takes me a little while to respond to you all, please bear with me. But anyway, I'm quite intrigued by that list. Looking forward to hearing some thoughts. And if you stuck around to minute 23 or 24, much appreciated. Bye.